Welcome back to Book Break. Agatha Christie fans, this one is for you. And this is not going to be just another of those listicles of books similar to Agatha Christie, books that Agatha Christie fans will love. No, if you love crime mysteries but you find that nothing comes close to Agatha Christie herself, then you need to pick up some of these amazing books which are actually directly inspired by the Queen of Crime herself. And of course, I have to start with The Christie Affair by Nina de Gramont, which is a novel about Agatha Christie. This is a fictionalized version of the true story of the 11 days when Agatha Christie went missing. Have you heard this story? Because it's amazing, and it's still an unsolved mystery. Nobody knows where she went during that time, including apparently Agatha Christie herself, who claimed to have complete memory loss of the whole thing. So in this novel, Nina de Gramont comes up with her own idea of what might have happened. And for an extra twist, the novel is narrated by Agatha Christie's husband's mistress. So there are 3 strands of this book, and all of those 3 storylines come together really, really well. So there's the storyline following Agatha Christie's disappearance and the hunt to find her. There is also an Agatha Christie-esque murder mystery plot taking place at the hotel where Agatha Christie spends some of her time while she's missing. And then we also get the backstory of Nan, who is our narrator. So we get this historical fiction strand set in Ireland, discovering some of Nan's really heartbreaking past. So there's so many different emotions that come together in this book. It's a lot of fun. I loved this one. And that's not the only book that has featured Agatha Christie as a character in the story. There are also books like Dorothy and Agatha by Gaylord Larson. That is a detective story that features Agatha Christie and that other Golden Age crime writer Dorothy L. Sayers as characters in the story, helping to solve the mystery. So those are some examples of books that feature Agatha Christie herself, the person in the story. But there are also lots of books that have taken direct inspiration from some of her most beloved works. I think the story that has possibly been retold and revisited the most often is And Then There Were None, because that story has such a great format. The premise of And Then There Were None is essentially a group of strangers who are invited under false pretenses to an island. When they get there, they realize the invitation is not what it seemed, and one by one throughout their stay, members of the group are killed off. It's very creepy. It's such a wonderfully tense novel. There is a poem in the house where they're staying that details off the different ways that people are going to be killed, and then it actually follows that pattern all the way down until And Then There Were None. A recent book to take that idea and do something totally new with it is Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney, which has been a hugely highly anticipated book. Alice Feeney is such a beloved author on BookTube particularly. In this one, instead of a group of strangers, this is about a very dysfunctional family who are reuniting for the first time in years to celebrate the grandmother's 80th birthday. They all reconvene for the first time in more than a decade at the grandmother's house, which is on this crumbling Cornish island that when the tide comes in is completely cut off from the mainland. And during the time they are completely isolated, one by one, members of the family are going to die. But this is by no means just a straight retelling of And Then There Were None. You get a lot of flashbacks to the pasts of all of the different members of this family and dig up some very, very dark secrets that they have been hiding from each other. I'm not going to say any more about the biggest twist because I don't want you to try and guess it. This book deserves you to discover that for yourself, but safe to say, there is a very big twist. Other popular versions of And Then There Were None include One by One by Ruth Ware, another very popular BookTube author. In this one, instead of a dysfunctional family, it is about a group of work colleagues. This group are sent on a work mindfulness exercise to a snowy chalet where they become snowed in, and not all of them will survive until the morning. Another very popular thriller writer, Rachel Housel Hall, had a go at her own version of this story. Hers was called They All Fall Down. And hers was maybe the most similar to the original in that it goes back to being about a group of strangers invited into a private house under false pretenses. And one more on this theme I want to mention is the Decagon House Murders by Yukito Ayajutsu. This is a Japanese crime novel from the 80s that is credited with reviving the golden age of crime genre in Japan. In this one, a group of students visit an island that the year before was the site of a grisly murder. And you guessed it, they get picked off one by one. But of course, And Then There Were None is just one of the incredible books that Agatha Christie wrote. The next book I've got here, Murder at the Old Vicarage by Jill McGowan, is inspired by the book Murder at the Vicarage by Agatha Christie. This book is a cozy crime Christmas mystery. It's set in this snow-covered village when the vicar's son-in-law is found murdered. This is proper cozy crime with an eccentric cast of characters that would not be out of place in an Agatha Christie novel. The detectives are Chief Inspector Lloyd and Sergeant Judy Hill, and they have got their own personal relationship going on as well, which is a really fun addition to the story. And a book that's really popular at the moment is The Woman in the Library by Solari Gentle, which is inspired by The Body in the Library by Agatha Christie. This book has a very clever story inside a story structure. So on the outer level, we read this communication between an author and one of her superfans. She sends him chapters of her work in progress, and then we get to read his feedback. The chapters that we read are the main story of The Woman in the Library, which is about 4 strangers who meet at a library on the day that a woman is murdered, and all 4 of them are potential suspects. Then there's another layer because one of those suspects is an author who is working on her own story using the other characters as inspiration in her book. So it's a book within a book within a book, and all of these strands have equally gripping plots. So it's very, very clever. Agatha Christie would be proud. So let me know, do you know any more books like this that are directly inspired by Agatha Christie's life or Agatha Christie's works? I would love to read more. I love this subgenre. So do put your recommendations in the comments below, and I will leave a link here to a video I made before on cozy crime, so you can go through and get some more suggestions. And I'll see you next time.